So after COVID, I ended up gaining some fat and actually lost my muscle as well, and ended up having this skinny fat physique. And in 8 to 9 months, I ended up transforming that physique and got to this point. And now I'm in a position where I'm helping other entrepreneurs transform their physiques and achieve their best health. So in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to fix that skinny fat physique from start to finish. So let's go. The first phase is the fat loss phase, and I want you to follow this process step by step. What you're going to do, number one, is take a photo of your physique. You're going to look at your physique, take a photo of it front, back and side, and this is going to show you your current body composition and what your body fat percentage is. And this is going to be a starting point. Next, you are going to get a caloric deficit. So obviously, if you want to lose fat and body weight, you need to be eating in a caloric deficit. So you're going to start with a nice 300 calorie deficit. So it's not too big. We don't want a deficit that's too big. That's what's going to cause bounce backs, crash dieting, and it's going to mess up your metabolism as well. So start small. And when you create your caloric deficit, you're going to follow this deficit, but at the same time you're going to measure your outputs as well, which is going to be your daily weight check or your physique. This is very important because you're going to run a bit of an experiment. Is your 300 calories leading to weight loss and body fat reduction? In 2 weeks, do that test. Is it working? Yes, then you continue with that 300 calorie deficit. However, if you're doing that 300 calorie deficit and in 2 weeks you've not lost any body fat and you've not lost any weight, then you're going to increase that deficit to 400 calories, for example. Now, this is important because no calorie macro calculator can accurately predict real life. Trust me on this one. You have to test and find if it's going to work for you. And 2 weeks is a good time slot for that. Now, to make this caloric deficit easier, I would 100% recommend using intermittent fasting. This way you basically skip your first meal and push it further into the day, so that way you can create a deficit very easily. And furthermore, you're going to be in a state of ketosis where your body will be using your fat stores for energy, which is going to be helpful. So, for example, if you have a morning breakfast of 500 calories, if you cut that back down, then you're going to give yourself a nice addition. You're going to start the day with a nice deficit, which is going to make it easier for you. And also, if you front load the hunger, so if you force yourself to be hungry in the morning, then you won't feel the need to be hungry later in the day because you'll have more time to eat. That's a good little hack to help you achieve that caloric deficit. And also, this is a very key point I want to mention. Most people actually think that they're in a caloric deficit, but they're actually not. The only way to confirm if you're in a caloric deficit is to see is your body weight dropping on the scale, or is your body fat percentage decreasing through progress photos. If those things are not happening, then you are not in a caloric deficit. So that's why it's important that you do the input, which is the food and eating right and eating enough calories properly, and you also measure the output to make sure, is this leading to this? Super important. And honestly, don't do any stupid tactics like keto, carnivore, this, vegan or whatever. Just the foods that you enjoy eating, adjust the quantities so it reaches the calories. That is it. And another tip is you want to be more strict in the weight loss phase because it's more important that you eat less. It's way easier to avoid eating 100 calories than it is to burn 100 calories. And also, you don't want to keep psychologically rewiring the taste of highly palatable foods. What I mean by that is if you're having French fries and pizzas and crisps every 2-3 days, you're going to keep remembering that taste, which is going to want to pull you back into eating it more, which is only going to make your deficit harder. So what I recommend is having like a cheat meal once a week just to stave it off, and plan it in advance as well. So then that way you're not constantly eating it every single day. Because it's like, when have you had one French fry then stop? No, you'll have the second and the third and the fourth. Like, when have you had one crisp and then stop? No, you'll have the second, the third and the fourth. And obviously we want to avoid that, especially if we're in a fat loss phase. So you don't want to make that a habit of just eating shit all the time. Spread the cheat meals out and don't have too much in this phase. I promise you it will make your life way easier. Now, the second point I want to talk about is exercise. Now, the main source of exercise to fix this skinny fat physique is resistance training, especially going to the gym. But we're not going to be doing the gym like powerlifters and Eddie Hall and lifting like these 5-6 plates for 1 rep. No, we're not doing none of that. We're going to be taking more of a bodybuilder style approach, which is going to be focused on muscle hypertrophy. So basically building muscle size. Usually that means we're going to be playing around a 6 rep range minimum. So most of the reps are going to be above that. And along with that, the rep range, we're going to be training with good tempo and good control of the weight as well. So you see how the power lifters and those guys lift, they have a lot of explosive movement and they're trying to jerk the weight. But with us, we want to keep as much tension on the muscle as possible. So there's going to be more control, more tempo work to really recruit as much muscle fibers as possible to help stimulate that growth. Now, in terms of progression, you understand that when you're in the weight loss phase, that fat loss phase that we mentioned, you're going to be eating less calories, so it's going to be difficult for you to progress your strength. So the main thing I would advise to you at this point is to maintain as much strength as possible, because if you can maintain the strength, then you can at least retain some muscle size while you're in that fat loss phase. So do not think, it's a big mistake, do not think that just because you're in a caloric deficit that it means that you're going to train lighter. No, still push yourself to the max to maintain as much strength as possible. And obviously, when we're in a surplus and we're in the muscle building phase, that is when you're going to dial in on your progressive overload and making sure that every single week you are moving forward within the gym. And here's some of the biggest reasons why people don't have good enough muscle development when it comes to exercise. The first is they can't stay consistent with at least 3 sessions for 1 to 2 years, except for if they've been ill or something like that. Now, if when I made that statement, you're thinking, oh, flipping hell, that's a long time, you have the wrong mindset. You're not thinking like the right person that you need to be. 1 to 2 years of consistency is genuinely easy. In fact, it's harder for me not to stay consistent than it is to be consistent. So if that thought comes in your head, you need to ask yourself the question, why? Why can I not stay consistent for 1 to 2 years? And I literally mean write it down on a piece of paper, and whatever comes to your mind, you write that down. Because if you don't fix this problem, I promise you, you will never fix your skinny fat physique. The next is not training close enough to failure. See, when you're lifting in these compound movements, you want to train as close to failure as possible, because those last 1, 2, 3 reps where you're pushing to the max, that is where the muscle growth lies. And I know this myself because I avoided failure for like 2 years and my physique genuinely plateaued, my strength plateaued. There wasn't much progression. So I don't want you to make that mistake that I made. And the next is really poor programming. Not choosing right exercise selection, not knowing what to do and how to put things together. So if you are an entrepreneur and you're serious about making the transformation, you want the perfect program, the perfect plan, the perfect guidance, and I promise you the best thing you can do is just book a discovery call with me, because I will get you there guaranteed. That's for people who are serious entrepreneurs who want to transform their physique. That top link is there for you. When it comes to exercise, there honestly is no one best program in the world, right? It genuinely isn't. It depends on each person. But here's a couple of things that I would recommend that you do. Whatever exercise plan is going to keep you in the gym for 2 years, follow that. Now here I'm going to disagree with some of the optimal trainers, because sometimes optimal training isn't the best if it means that you won't show up to the gym, right? For example, you hate doing full body workouts and you've tried it and you fail and tried it and you fail. Then don't do it. Just do 3 days of, I don't know, upper, lower and another upper split, or lower, lower, upper. I don't know what it is. It's fine to do a bro split if it means that you will actually show up to the gym. If you think about a pyramid, the bottom layer is just showing up, right? It's just turning up to the gym consistently. And if you like doing a bro split, then fine, do it. That's going to be more effective than you doing a full body split, but then doing 2 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off, because that inconsistency is going to continually pull you back. So whatever plan is going to keep you in the gym that you enjoy, that you can stay with, do that. And I promise you, over the space of 3-4 years, your physique will progress. That's just a fact. Even though, yes, optimally, I'm even saying it, full body program is the best if you're doing a 3-day routine. If you don't like it and you absolutely hate it and you still want to train and show up to the gym, just do whatever you enjoy. I promise you, that's going to help you so much more. Okay, the next point is to lean bulk. Now, if you've been following what I said properly, so you are tracking your calories in terms of if you're eating what you're meant to eat, and you're tracking your output, so your body fat and your weight, you should reach a point where your body fat is low enough to a point that you're happy with, right? So maybe you've got rid of the love handles and you can start to see the bottom of your stomach and abs. If you're happy with where you are at that point, here's where we're going to start our bulking phase, really dial in the muscle growth. And our key point is you will end up losing some size within a caloric deficit, which is absolutely fine. Do not worry about that. Don't get fooled by the guys on steroids who can just cut weight and maintain all of their muscle mass at the same time. It's not realistic. It's fine if you lose some size when you're in a deficit. Now we're going to talk about the bulk, and we're going to do the same thing, but we're just going to reverse it, right? So you're going to have a plan for your surplus, which I recommend a nice 300 calorie surplus. And at the same time, you're going to track your progress in terms of your daily weights. Is it going up? And your physique. Am I gaining size in the right areas? And you will do this, the same thing, for 2 weeks. Is your weight going up? If it is slowly going up, perfect, continue. If not, then increase your calories slowly. And the reason why we want to start slow and not just have a massive calorie surplus is because the bigger the surplus that you have, the more fat that you will gain on that journey. That's just how it works. So if we can start slow and small and still gain size, then that is beneficial, right? Because then it means that we don't have to cut later on. And also, I don't recommend dirty bulking and eating a load of shit, because that's just going to mess up your organs, your metabolism, and your overall performance in day to day. So still stick to good, clean foods, but just bump up the quantity to help you out. A really good way of doing this is adding healthy fats into your diet. Healthy fats, because every gram of fat has 9 calories, whereas every gram of protein and carbs has 4 calories. So it's advantageous to have some more fat. So you can throw in stuff like avocados, some more olive oil, some nuts, healthy butter, having eggs with the omega-3 with the yolk in. These are nice, easy ways for you to help you bulk up without having too much volume. Right? It saves you money and it saves you time. Now, pointers with a lean bulk to make sure this works. Make sure that you're tracking every single workout, and I promise you this is vital when you're on a lean bulk. You can use Apple Notes, or you can use an app like Heavy where you can track exactly what you're doing, because you want to go into the gym and you don't want to be thinking, what do I need to do? You should have a plan, right? I did squat of 80 kg last week, I need to do a squat of 85 kg this week. You should just be going bang, 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 bang like that, because that's what's going to help you keep progressing within the gym. You want to remove that decision fatigue. Now, I recommend having 4 to 5 exercises max, but you're going to failure on almost every single set, because that's what's going to generate that muscle growth. Short and sweet exercises, I found personally, have been so much better than these long ass 3-hour routines that you see online. And also, when you're on a lean bulk, your sleep must be on point, because this is where muscle protein synthesis occurs, and this is also where you're going to recharge your resilience, your willpower, and your central nervous system, so you can go back and lift hard and lift heavy again the next week and the next day. So make sure your sleep is dialed in. I can make a whole video on sleep. And with the programming, genuinely between a cut and a bulk, it doesn't really change. You can stick to the same program, the same plan. All you're gonna do is focus on the progressive overload a bit more. So what I mean is, every single week you go, especially with the compound lifts, you don't want to be doing the same thing every single week. With the addition of calories in your body and your system, you basically have more energy, and you want to use that energy to lift more. This is how you will gain muscle. So if you, for example, went in and did 80 kg on a squat for 6 reps, then next week you're going to try and do 80 kg for 7 reps. And you're going to keep doing this and doing this and doing this, and that is what's going to lead to muscle growth. And if you get to a point where, let's say for a week or 2 weeks, none of your lifts are going up, everything's stuck, then you know you have reached a plateau. And in a plateau, what you can do, there's loads of things you can do, and I can't dive into it in this video unfortunately, but one of the things you can do is increase your calorie surplus. So for example, if you're on a 300 calorie surplus, but now all your weights and your lifts have plateaued, bump up the calories to 400 calories and then go again and see if the extra energy is allowing you to lift and gain weight and build muscle. How would I guarantee results? So if someone will come to ask me, how can I guarantee I get rid of the skinny fat physique and genuinely transform and build an absolutely excellent body? Here's what I would tell them. First point, number one, is work with a coach. It's an absolute no-brainer. You're getting over 20 years of combined experience distilled into a couple of months. You will skyrocket your progress, and honestly, even now, there is nothing comparable to that. But let's say you're not in a position to invest, here's the next thing that I would recommend. Gamify absolutely everything. All the inputs that you need to do, make it into a game which you can visually play with and see. Right? This is so important. I used a habit tracker on paper for absolutely years, but nowadays I've got a Google sheet called the Daily Performance Tracker, and I'm tracking my habits to see how I'm doing. And I promise you, this will change your life. Now, if you're, for example, in a fat loss phase, then here's some of the things that you can put on that performance tracker. So you can say, for example, what was my daily weight? Is it going down? You can check, have I eaten the calories that I was meant to eat? Have I exercised? And you can start building a track of your actual performance, because what you think you're doing and what you're actually doing, I promise you, are so vastly different, it will shock you. But you need to see it. And when you bring awareness to what you're doing, that's how you can make a change. Now, honestly, if I'm telling you this and you still don't do it, one of the reasons you don't want to track your daily performance is because you're probably embarrassed to see the results, which is absolutely normal, by the way. Like, I'm not saying this to be harsh, because why would you want to see yourself not doing well at something? Because it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. But how are you going to grow? You have to face what's uncomfortable. And I promise you, there are times in my daily performance tracker where I'm hitting 1s and 2s and 3s. But I was seeing, right, when I'm hitting these 1s and 2s and 3s, my gym's not going well, my business is slowing down. What's going on? But then when I'm seeing that I'm not hitting my daily performance, it gives me awareness. Then I can actually take steps to fix that. So if you're in your journey of fixing the skinny fat physique, track the inputs that you need to do and see, am I doing what I need to do? And if you're not, that's fine. You've got data to work and build off of, and I promise you, this will catapult your progress. Next thing is you want to make all the hard things easier. To do that, you want to front load all of the difficult tasks as early as you can in the day. And you want to leave all of the fun stuff until later, so that way you can make your dopamine work for you and not against you. So for example, let's say I wake up and the first thing I do is have a cold shower, then I go to the gym, then I come back and eat my first meal, then I scroll on Instagram. Right? That's one day you can have. Another day, which is very normal, is you wake up, you scroll on Instagram for a bit, you have like 2-3 coffees, and then you try to force yourself to go to the gym. Situation 2 is going to be much harder for you to perform in situation 1. Because in situation 1, you've woken up and you've gone straight for a cold shower, which is a very, very difficult thing. It's like up here. So then when you go to the gym, it actually feels easier, right? But if you start your day with a super easy thing like checking your phone and Instagram, then going to the gym is a big jump. That's gonna feel a lot harder. And this is the exact same thing that I'm doing with my business right now. I'll wake up and I'll work on my hardest business task first, and once that's done, then I can go to the gym, which feels a lot easier. The next point is actually daily communication. If you're serious, like really serious about getting rid of that skinny fat physique, then you want to be communicating with someone who is in the dream physique that you have already, and do that on a daily basis, because you want to start thinking, talking, acting like them. And the only thing that you have at your disposal, or the best thing you have at your disposal, is communicating with that person already. I did that because back then, when I made my first transformation, I worked with a coach, and I'm even doing that to this day because I'm training with my boy who's actually in better shape than me, who's teaching me loads of stuff. So if I speak to him and I'm learning and I'm thinking, then I'm gonna embody some of those traits and characteristics, which is gonna help me. And the next point you need to understand is this is a lifetime achievement, not just an achievement. Building a superhero physique and absolutely shredded and jacked and having a healthy, high performance lifestyle, that is a lifetime goal. So you have to treat it as a lifetime goal. There are certain goals in your life, for example, which are just achievements. So let's say you're super overweight and yes, you've got rid of the belly. Cool, that's an achievement. But having a shredded six-pack, that's a lifetime achievement, right? So there's two different categories that we're playing with. But if you want an absolutely superhero Hollywood physique, that is a lifetime achievement. You can't treat it like a normal achievement. So you have to dedicate yourself in that way. Because I promise you, all the people you look up to that has a great physique, they are not acting and living the same way that you are. That's just the honest truth, right? You got to ask yourself, the aggression, the mentality you have towards fixing the skinny fat physique, is it just to get rid of the skinny fat physique, or do you really want an absolutely incredible physique? Because if you want an incredible physique, you have to act in that way. And remember, this is a lifetime goal. So you better be willing to spend 5-10 years putting the work in, being sustainable with it. And I promise you, if you have that mindset, you will easily achieve all of your fitness goals. But that's it from me. Goodbye.